Are we alive?
Yeah. Hey guys.
Alright.
Sorry that was bad. The gun run knows what he's doing and he made it good, hopefully. So
We think good things are happening.
the actual thing is occurring now. Might as well switch back to the game so at least it's active so we can then... Yeah. I guess we'd switch to
Game big, gold small.
so this is...
Is that looking better for everyone?
Yeah, can you... Yeah.
Yeah. You should move the mouse around definitely because I think that
That's the thing
just that delta is make people vomit. That'll...
Is this to look like over there?
It hasn't appeared yet. Oh, it looks way better. It looks way
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a video game now.
Silky smooth.
You're welcome.
Alright, thanks for putting up with that, guys. This is better now.
Yay.
Alright, now we return to JP and Lord. Oh man, they could watch you lording while playing the game.
Yeah,
Let's do
Lord
that
more
for
actively.
Yes.
Switch legs. Oh good, IBM Man is up. That's what I prefer to see.
Usefulness. Database. Do I have to look at my own face while I'm playing BioShock?
You must observe your face.
Can I just superimpose it with Toasty? We should full screen it, right?
What? People want to see
We
your
can do
face.
this for a while.
Alright, sure. Alright, appropriately enough, you will look at my face while we're looking at
A face.
Dr. Steinman's horrible visages. This is another, I forget who did this sign, but it's an amazing piece of, I think there were actually physical prints made of this for like a launch thing or a promotional thing. Now we're just really getting hit with the full BioShock. The medical pavilion, this is like the first full level of the game that isn't like heavily tutorializing stuff, so it's just really where the game hits its stride and starts doing a lot of the things that it does really well, and I can deflect credit for it onto a few different designers that it was handed off to, but a lot of, the guy who took it home was the lead designer of BioShock 1, Paul Hellquist. He just kind of owned most of the things on this level, and is just, he's a hell of a guy. I guess he's still at Gearbox, he's working, I think he's creative director on Borderlands 2. I could be wrong about that, but he worked on Borderlands stuff, and was a great guy to work under, and...
You should hack that bot.
I should totally hack this bot that is wedged into this doorway, curiously. This was something that, we ended up with it, and some of us on the design team were just, baffled at how arbitrary it was, but it's, and it is clearly, this piece of video game training type stuff. It's why would the door come open when the bot is hacked, and why would the player know to do that? But, but on the flip side, the player comes out of it knowing how to hack and having a sweet bot that can then help them exterminate more splicers.
That's right. I was over at JP's last night and we were playing the game to get a save game going for when we jumped to Arcadia later, and it was funny watching him play this game and just fucking burn through it because he's played it so many times. I've played BioShock a few times, but I never, not having actually worked on it. I didn't have that situation where I played it 500 trillion times.
Yep.
And so it's funny seeing him play a game that's as atmospheric as BioShock.
And just be like,
through it.
That's what I was saying. If you haven't played BioShock before, this is ruining it in almost every way possible because I'm just being really flip about the things that are genuinely impressive about it, and just being look at that, that's stupid. Oh man, why did we do that? We're such idiots. Just all this stuff, and I'm aware that it's a relatively highly regarded game, and I am very proud of what I did and what the people I worked with did on it. Alright, so now it's time to rattle Kurt Vonnegut's The Monkey Cage. Now we've rattled the monkey cage. The spicers are coming out of the woodwork. I don't want to die. I have to inject myself. Good. Oh yeah, we get the Tommy gun here. This is a good moment to get the Tommy gun. We've got multiple enemies that are at the good, perfect medium range thing. They're shooting through a window, you're shooting through a window. Everybody's just having a good old time. This lockbox here is what happens to enemies in BioShock when you're not looking at them and there are too many corpses nearby. So that's a little bit of video game magic for you there. That used to be a Grossman or a Ladysmith. And now now it's a lockbox containing the loot. They become lockboxes just so that, because otherwise the loot economy kind of gets disrupted. Not that it's already fairly, weird and generous and stuff. But, whoa, there's a whole bunch of splicers left over. Yeah. And we're getting into old Steinman's area. Yeah, it's a ghost scene. BioShock 1 had ghosts. I forget this. It was in the design from very early because we were the spiritual sequel to System Shock 2 at one point, and it was a cool way to do more environmental storytelling without cutscenes. Dude, what? Why are there so many of these dudes? There shouldn't be any more splicers here. What are you doing, guy? Steinman is the guy who writes in blood, basically. That's his jam. Well, and he also mutilates faces. Interestingly, yeah. This was one of the environmental storytelling payloads, and it's really amazing. You walk in and the extreme amount of blood is a little much, but it's giving you this tableau of oh yeah, there's a crazy man in charge of this level. He's a doctor who's obsessed with beauty, and I think he might have some problems. Yeah. One thing that I really loved about BioShock 2, we have a sign in BioShock 2 that's an advertisement for Steinman's beauty product, or beauty products that are endorsed by Steinman, and it's this autograph non-blood version, because it was commercial products being advertised in Rapture's heyday,
Yep.
and it was beauty standards and stuff like that. My very talented and wonderful ex, Carlos Amanja, who's now working with Steve Gaynor on Gone Home, oh yeah, it should have Steinman's autograph, and just I don't know, it gave me chills the first time I saw Steinman's autograph as it's
as mid-century fashion.
Yeah. Instead of I am a crazy serial killer, basically, who just stuff like that. Building really further layers into the world. And that's just that's some of the stuff that I'm really proud of in BioShock, because it was just working within limitations and doing simple, clever stuff that contributes incredible richness, especially compared to how much work you're putting into it. Alright, so I had to hack something. Just because. So now I'm...
You guys fixing that?
Yeah, there'll be a patch. Actually, let me do this. Oh, no. Don't kill me. Sure, I'll buy that out. Yeah, the buyout feature, a bit controversial, because technically it lets you just opt out of the feature in the game, the hacking thing. But that was something that John Che suggested and felt pretty strongly about, and we were really resistant to it at first, but it was I don't know, I'd be curious to hear what people think of it.
I thought that was cool. I thought that it fit with everything else going on inside of the world. I don't know
right.
But just
the free market.
I think the fact that it could fall back on fiction, that it had something there,
I like the
was
idea
sort of
you can, instead of the world of Rapture, even though it's completely insane that paying $10 gives you a robot. Well, it's a little weird, but
yes. Yeah. Oh, it's a splicer.
You kind
this is
the entire game.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah. So that was the first grenade throwing guy, or nitro splicer, as I guess he was called.
I guess the equivalent of that buyout feature now would just be an actual microtransaction where it actually just takes $1 from you. And
you pay some space bucks and get
Where BioShock made now, Rapture would have fallen due to the
failure of the player economy.
Right. Microsoft points economy took a weird dive.
Is a man not entitled to his Microsoft points?
Well, then, you could have this weird metafiction.
No, says the man at PayPal.
Where there is, in this sort of multiverse type situation, where there is a version of Rapture where the world has founded or has formed around Microsoft points, and there's another version where it's formed around the notion of the Steam wallet that everyone's talking about.
Different competing utopian societies.
I'm pretty sure that's what those rips in Infinite are actually referring to.
Probably.
It's the discontinuities between the economies. And Valve's economist is the chosen one, who's the one who can bring balance to the dimensional quakes that So this was you push the button to put the body into the crematorium, and then this made a lot more sense when plasmid and tonic pickups were way smaller. But so I guess this person had ingested a really gigantic plasmid container thingy.
Actually inside his head.
I scripted this in like early 2006, and it just sort of survived mostly unchanged for
even as
for like a year and a half.
Like,
Yeah, and then it was like, oh yeah, but we still want to give the player a sweet little reward for seeing our thing. Hello.
Someone wants to know if Andrew Ryan would have liked Facebook.
Oh.
Or like capital L, like you would have given it the thumbs up. Yeah.
I'm Andrew Ryan, and this is my favorite shop on the social network. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Facebook and social networks do seem to have a kind of like rich and or famous people get more so, while other people don't. So, maybe he sees that as like validating his ideal kind of meritocracy world. Oh, I shouldn't have skipped past this. Yeah, those were the super sweet little plasmid introduction videos that were done like actual advertisements done by Fontaine Futuristics and whatever.
Were those Sean Robertson illustrations?
No, I think those were Rob Waters.
Okay,
yeah.
Because I saw some Sean Robertson stuff that looked like that was in a similar style.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, it came out of just like some concept-y type stuff. Yeah. That's Medical Mannequin. This is the Incinerate Plasmid intro where this thing was a pain to get right because like BioShock's like the way that when somebody is taking damage from being on fire in BioShock, it's actually because they're colliding with the actual particle system. If you know anything about how games are made, that's weird because it's basically doing a whole bunch of like little sphere casts against. Yeah, it's super weird instead of just being like a damage volume or something. And so this thing where there's multiple piles of oil, where there's multiple puddles of oil that create a chain reaction and set this entire thing on fire, I think we just ended up scripting it. Where it's like, as soon as you damage the first thing, it's just like, okay, I'm going to deal damage to all of these little pools of oil and stuff. So it was not very simulator systemic. Compared to Far Cry 2, which did the most amazing overkill on that problem ever, to great effect. I mean, like, it was actually, an amazing feature of that game and led to the sort of chaotic, messy emergence that really defined that game. But, oil slicks, problematic, but they're fun. They were a good vector of emergence in BioShock's world, and we love them. There is just like an ambient, like, repopulating splicer. We had a system in the BioShock 1 and 2 engine that just kind of handled that sort of stuff. You would divide the world into zones and then say, once you turn on repopulation for a zone, you'll just get guys spawning, and that just helps the world feel alive and dangerous and stuff. Oh yeah, this guy, yay.
You did it.
Oh man. The other way. Yeah, these grenadiers, when they get low on health, they'll try to suicide, where they'll just light their bomb cache on fire and raise it above their head and blow themselves up. So that's hardcore, and you can kill them before they do that and get their stuff still. Otherwise, BioShock doesn't actually have jibs, but they would definitely have jibbed. This is one of the few logs that I wrote that survived. It's about Andrew Ryan.
It has been brought to my attention.
Talking about how people are hacking machines. My line didn't originally use hack. It was like this longer thing where he was, because Andrew Ryan saying hack is a little. That just felt too ridiculous to me. It's also it's a massive. It was silly for many reasons that I shied away from it. But I think ultimately, I think Ken probably made it not hack. In the interest of expediency and clarity, which, it's like, that's a... Yeah, right, because then people are like... Yeah, because I think my original line was, it has come to my attention that citizens have found ways to tamper with machines such that their services are rendered at a greatly reduced price. Now, that's like sort of more flowery than Andrew Ryan ended up being as a character, but I was like, I wanted to, like, these were like, early 2006 kind of lines.
That's going on without there being an existing term that encapsulates the whole thing.
Exactly, yeah. So this
I refer to it now, henceforth, as hacking.
Yes, yeah. In the interests of expediency, this is who we called Gurney Man. This is just like a cool scripted sequence that happens out of the blue and whatever, and you move on. But yeah, this was like one of our scripted sequences, and if you know where it's coming from, then you can see that guy crouching by the gurney, and then you cross the trigger, and he's like, "Now I'm going to do this and throw the thing at you, and then we fight." It's hilarious if you know to look for it. What were you pointing to there?
Someone just wants you to talk about the economy.
Resource economy in relation to repopulation. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, because BioShock's economy is like really simple, because like all the loot that people drop is defined by a table, and then there's a dynamic difficulty adjustment algorithm happening on top of that at the time that you search them. So like if you don't run into that many repopulation enemies, then you'll be killing guys that are on the critical path forward, and you'll just be getting new resources. And then if you run into the more repop enemies you'll fight, you'll just be getting resources from them. So it does stay relatively constant unless like your competence dips or you're actually underpowered and you're not getting as much, damage output per resources expended, I guess is that trade-off. So yeah, and then so it's real simple. Like it wasn't like this high-level algorithm or anything. It was really just like, when you loot stuff, we check and make sure that you're not critically hurting, in which case we might add a little bonus. And if you're really fat with resources, then we'll pull some. And that was really about it, and like designers could override it on certain, for certain containers and stuff. This is the shotgun ambush. What could possibly go wrong if I pick up the shotgun? Oh, and I got special ammo. Okay, so... oh no, the lights go out, and now I have to kill guys in the dark. So I'll set them on fire. Oh! Yeah, this was another thing that Paul Hellquist scripted, and did an awesome job with. It's like a real simple fight, because at this point in the game it's just like, yeah, close range. The putting things in the dark plus the close range of the shotgun is just, a good mix. It's like, you just really feel assailed here. For kind of the first time in the game, like this is the first real ambush thing. And I think this used, like an adapted version of my ambush scripting for Arcadia. Like I scripted up this like fairly general purpose kind of ambush in a can type script that other people were able to like duplicate and use, and that actually became the template for the ambush system that we had our real awesome programmers on BioShock 2 program, because we have systemic ambushes in BioShock 2 when you gather with Big Daddies, with Little Sisters, and I can look at function keys to switch to plasmids. Oh yeah. I don't actually want to hack this. I totally don't want to hack this.
You don't want to hack it?
No, because it's just pointless, and I don't want to make people sit through me playing Pipe Dream. There's a little trail of breadcrumbs leading into, oh no, it's a room, and the fog comes over, and I think maybe this body showed up. Yeah, this was one of our like classic pet scares. I forget who implemented this first, if this was like, if I did it first in Arcadia and then Hellquist stamped it here, or vice versa. But yeah, the lights come down and then you're standing like right here, and then you turn around and you're like, oh god! Oh! And he's just like standing right there. I think usually he goes aggro and stuff, but I guess he didn't. Yeah, that was very finicky to get working. Yeah, and like at the beginning of Arcadia, yeah, there's a similar kind of thing where you get led down this blind alley by a guy, and he surprises you, and he's standing right there, totally not touching you. That's another little. It's a relatively cheap horror moment, because it's just this. It's a cat scare, but yeah, it's classic, and like you weren't expecting it because you've been running around this fairly systemic level and facing guys more or less toe to toe. So, this is a cool little secret little thing. Gotta love crawling through vents. Our whole level design philosophy and like level layout school like eschewed vents compared to Deus Ex. Like Thief and Deus Ex really. Vents serve a more important, and vents and little side routes like that serve a more important role, whereas we used them here mainly for just cool secrets. So, okay, where am I supposed to be going? Yeah, this is like an off-the-beaten-path kind of little area here, after, like, past the shotgun, and so I don't think... I want to stick to the critical path here. By the way, if you guys want to switch to Arcadia, then I can totally load that up. Oh yes, and I've totally backwards puzzled this entire thing, by the way. This is something that I worry about a lot working on The Cave with Ron Gilbert. Like, I got Incinerate and didn't really know why I needed Incinerate. Granted, in this game, it's just because you can damage fools with it and it's cool. But I got Incinerate first before I had seen the ice blockage here.
Right.
And now I'm about to go off and get telekinesis before I've even run into Dr. Steinman throwing grenades and knowing that I need to get telekinesis. So yeah, whereas ideally you would see the ice blockage first, then go get Incinerate, and then you would first you would see Steinman throwing the grenades, say I have to get telekinesis, and then go to get telekinesis and run into the ice. But I think like in practice in a complicated 3D space and all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't pan out that way. Did I actually? So I haven't gotten telekinesis. Am I getting lost in a level that I worked on? This is pathetic. Yeah, like where do I go to get telekinesis?
Get your shit together.
Yeah. Dandy Dental. That's right. That's where it's because of these opaque doors. These doors weren't opaque once upon a time, and I think they were just like the windows. Oh yeah. There's the non-opaque version of it. Okay, so here's the telekinesis. This is great. We got a little tennis ball launcher type thing that was like. I think I built the tennis ball launcher thing in a test level, and then
Throw objects at foes.
and it was like, oh yeah, because I think I built it as I built the tennis ball launcher as a test thing in a test level for the programmer who was implementing telekinesis, or just so we could repeatedly test it without constantly getting damaged and stuff and having explosions happening. And then we were like, oh yeah, if it was a tennis ball launcher instead of a generic abstract thing, then Dr. Steinman, then Dandy Dental guy could be a tennis playing doctor. And yeah, like we have TK loot in sort of a similar way that System Shock 2 does, where it's like, oh yeah, there's a thing up there and I can't quite reach it, but what if I used my mind powers? And you do. That's great.
Good job.
So yeah, that splicer there is like set to spawn in and come into the door just after you get TK, and there's a propane tank right there that you have no reason to worry about or care about otherwise. Oh dude, that's the default texture! That's the Unreal default texture that this thing exploded into. Oh, and there it goes. So yeah, hilarious bugs. Oh man! Right, because like it's anytime it was up in a game, it's obviously a bug. Like Unreal Engine 1 and 2 had a default texture that was actually a scan of cave pearls out of an old book about caves that Alan Willard, the technical artist at Epic, owned, and that was that. So that's the genesis. If you've ever worked with the Unreal Engine and wondered about that weird spoiled milk cave pearls cheese texture, that's what that is. Yeah.
It looks like the